and welcome to the Nobody Asked Me Guys show. Guys, I'm your host, Melvin Casey Lars. And for those of you that's always with me, you know that we bring dynamic, powerful speakers for you to hear. You know we don't waste your time with gossip and cookie cutter questions and all of that. So this evening, we have with us none other than Dr. Terrence Cragen Thomas. Now, guys, we're going to tell you a little bit about Dr. Thomas. Dr. Thomas will fill you in even more on himself as we move forward. But now, Dr. Thomas serves as the presiding elder of the Minden District in the 4th Episcopal District, which is located here in Louisiana. Dr. Thomas is a dedicated educator, mentor, advocate with over 35 years of preaching and pastoral experiences in the field of religion and education. He currently serves as a consultant to a number of churches and denominations for church growth and healthy congregations. Now, he's also a high school principal at Waukegan High School and has been educated there for over 12 years. Dr. Thomas spent 17 years in corporate finance as a regional vice president of commercial and consumer banking. He led the financial institution with over $150 million assets under management over 14 states. Fantastic. Dr. Thomas hails from Louisiana and is an author of the Young Reader series, Me and My Crew, Change is Coming, I should say, and Who Am I Really? He has won an education award for the inspiration of advancing young readers' reading test scores. Additionally, he has a new religion worship book called The Effective Worship Experience, as soon to be published, a children's book titled The Adventures of Polly. Now, Dr. Thomas attended at Youngstown State University, where he played college football, earning a degree in business finance administration. He continued his education at Indiana Wesleyan University, earning an MBA. He has a master's degree in teaching, a master's in theological and congregational urban ministry, and an earned doctorate in business administration, and will soon earn an educational doctorate degree in K-12 superintendent's endorsements. He served as the keeper of finance for he says the best fraternity in the world, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Respectfully, my brother, we embrace you. He has 4 children, and his motto to the young people is author your own destiny. Live better so you don't have to live bitter. What a better way to end this introduction. Dr. Thomas, great to have you here, sir.
Great to be here. God bless you. God bless everybody.
Well, listen, Dr. Thomas, it's our pleasure. And we just want to share with our listeners today that, our topic is, as you guys already know, life, leadership, and challenges in and out of the confines of the church. Now, Dr. Thomas is going to be talking with us about various topics, etc. And as always, we ask you to tell a friend, tell a neighbor, to always go to the Nobody Asked Me Guys show, like, and subscribe to our podcast. So, Dr. Thomas, as we get ready to roll, sir, I know that you work in finance and you have this extraordinary plethora of things that you've done in finance, and we talked prior to the show about some things. Now, our first question, if you allow me to ask, is why is finance in the church so important?
Well, again, great question, and I thank you for asking that. Finance is important in the church because from my experience, I have seen so many members unhealthy financially. And that's not dogging anybody out or pointing a finger. That's just pointing out the obvious. We shout on Sunday. We know God will make a way, but on Sunday night, we still got a stack of bills when we go home. And we're scared to talk about these things because a healthy congregation is not just spiritually, but is financially. And looking at each other's finances. We'll go to the doctor, we'll strip down naked, the doctor will examine us and tell us everything, but we won't sit down and talk to our spiritual leader and say, look, I'm struggling financially. We say, well, I don't want him to know or her to know what I'm doing. Look, I don't care what you got. I want you to have more because God wants us to be the head and not the tail. And we can't do that if we're not healthy financially. And we get in the church and we think that it's all about theology or it's all about a hymn, but I got to figure out, how do I reach folks right where they are. And finances is one thing that folks say, that's the first thing, I can't afford to give. I'm not asking you to give everything. I'm asking you to do exactly what God wants you to do, and that's give your 10th. And when you tithe, you aren't broke. Talk to me, somebody. You aren't broke. So I really think it's important because I really believe that we can be better financially, we can be better spiritually, and we can be a holistic person.
Share with us very eloquently about tithing. You shared with us very eloquently about when you tithe, you're not broke. You shared very eloquently with us about giving your 10% and sharing. And now as we discuss sharing, we will move on to our next question, which is, why is worship important?
Worship is vitally important. I always say, and I remember growing up, I used to hear that old preacher say, nobody wants to hear about an alive God from a bunch of dead people. And as a kid, I used to be like, oh, that's kind of funny. But as I grew up being a praise and worship leader, as I started writing books about praise and worship, as I started teaching seminars about praise and worship, I was one who was involved. I was involved in worship. I wanted to, we all of us were able to sing and play instruments. So I was excited to come to church because I knew not only was I going to see my friends, but I'd be able to play instruments, I'd be able to sing. And it wasn't a point then where my parents had to drag me. It was a point where I was excited to get to, because I wanted to hear the music. I wanted to hear the preacher. And I became more involved because I was a part of the worship service. And, you know, it's just like being in a sport. Nobody wants to be on the bench. Everybody wants to be in the game. And you got to earn the right to be in the game as a sport. Well, guess what? In God's army, you can be in the game, period. If you can't sing, then play an instrument. If you can't play an instrument, then serve. If you can't play an instrument, then clap your hands, make an instrument out of your hands. So I think that it's important because when we worship God, I don't know about you, but I feel better. Every time I go to church, I'm not excited. I'm not, there are times that I'm like, I just barely got here. And it was by the grace of God. But when I start getting into the worship experience, I become freer. And the problem that I had doesn't seem as robust in the morning when I got up than when I get to worship. And when I get through with worship, then I'm really excited because now I can carry something with me.
Which is very, very exciting. And the thumbs are going up over here and hearts are going up because they agree with you and I agree with you as well. Many times, as you've already shared, and I won't rehash that, is that we do not understand that, yeah, I may not be excited about going, but once I get there, you know, I will be invigorated. I will be able to breathe and share some things and be excited, you know, about the goodness of God, etc. And that's just fantastic in and of itself. Now, the two prior things that we've discussed all leads to the road to education. And many times we refuse to accept that we can believe, we can have faith, but we still must educate ourselves in the entire realm of what's going on. So why is it important for educating the young people today? You know, we so many of us use the word education, and we seem to somehow, may I say this to you, I think we misinterpret education many times, and because our young people have been so convinced, just as I was when I was in school back in the dark ages, is that getting an education somehow meant you were going to be this superimposed academician, not explaining that getting an education really is simple, and that's knowing more than you knew previously. Exactly. So we try to make that clear to our young people, and so I'm asking, you know, why is education important for our young people today?
You know, education is the key, and I can't stress enough how for our young people to continue to expand your mind. The brain is so vast. It can hold so much information, and to expand your mind so that you can learn more, you can grow higher, you can dig deeper, but most importantly, you can reach the levels that you want to reach. And when you have education, people can try to stop you, but they can never take what you have in that big brain of yours. And I tell young people everywhere I go, I don't care who doesn't like you. I don't care who doesn't want you to be successful. When you have education, they cannot take that away from you. And I heard that as a kid. I had parents who were tough on me with education, and that generation led to me. I was tough on my kids with education. And my dad, one time, he said, "Son," he said, "you made me a promise." He said, "You were going to go further than what I did." He said, "That's a testament of me raising a good young man to go further than where I did. That's not a slap in my face." He said, so I remember there's a picture that I have where he was fixing my doctoral hood. And they snapped the picture, and my daddy read back, old school dad. He read back, and he had a smile on his face as I'm looking at the picture, and he's like, "This is a proud moment." So as a young person, I really wanted it for myself, but to see the look on my dad's face when he was proud to be able to hood his son before he went in, that was a highlight. And for him to be able to do that, that made me feel good. But it's important for our young people because there's so many folks who try to downplay and to put young people under their feet because they don't know, they haven't learned, they haven't taken the time. And I want to encourage every young person that there is nothing that you can't do. The only person that's in your way is you. If you don't understand a subject, go get tutoring. I tell the students at my school, I said, there is no reason a student at this school should ever fail. Why? Because there's tutoring, there's study groups, there's clubs, there's activities. Statistics prove that students who are involved in 2 or more clubs within their school have a higher percentage of 30% on their grading. So just being involved, because now you're finding like-minded people. So if you want to be rich, you're not going to go hang with the broke folk. You want to be rich, you're going to hang with the folks that got money to find out how to get money. If you want to be educated and you don't understand algebra, don't go in the corner. Get with the person that knows algebra and ask them, "Can you tutor me? Can you help me? I miss this understanding." And a lot of times we don't want to do that because of pride. I don't want them to know I don't know. Well, guess what? That's why you're in school, because you're there to learn.
Absolutely.
You don't know. So let's learn, all of us. Life is still learning. I'm still learning. I learned something from my students. And I hope they take and learn something from me, because as I just shot in a video, I want them to know that it's tough love, but I care about each and every one of them, because what I don't want is for them to have to steal to eat. I want them to have options to be able to say, well, this job is now not for me. So I've got the skills and ability. My daddy's statement, and I'm gonna close with this. He would say, "Son, you control your options, not your options control you." And I didn't understand that at first, but then as I started growing and getting education, I was at a job that I didn't like it anymore. And somebody was talking crazy to me. And my dad, that statement went in my head. And I was like, I got up the next morning and took my box to work. And I started packing my office. And everybody said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm leaving." And they said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "First off, we're not friends. Secondly, I'm educated. There's many things I could do." And I left that job and already had something in place because I had the education.
Wow, well said, and well said. That is in and of itself a mouthful, and it will continue to be a mouthful. And sadly, too many of our young people don't seem to get that. And I keep looking at my monitor because I'm happy to share with you, Elder Thomas, that I have a large listening audience of young people, all over 18. They're all voting age, and they come to this show to hear and to glean from wisdom and to be able to get things going. So I'm happy about that, which is a perfect segue into our next question here. What has been some pitfalls that you've seen in your experiences with our young people that may cause them to have a downward spiral?
You know, a lot of what I've seen is social media is one of the biggest struggles that we have. There's a finance term that we use when you prepare a check and you mail that check and it's not used for what? And it's called not used for intended purposes. And that money reverts back to your account. We're able to cancel that check out. Social media was used for an intended purpose to keep in touch. You have somebody in school and you're part of a class and you want to be able to keep in touch with folks to see their life's history of what they're doing. Those are the fun things. But we have allowed social media, I think, to encroach, if I can use that term, on the life of what our young people and some of our adults can be doing in life. That's been one of the pitfalls. Another pitfall is I see where a lot of young people that I deal with, they aren't dreamers and they don't stretch their minds. You know, old men dream dreams, young men see visions. I want them to go from dreams to visions. If you can visualize it, God does not give us impossible dreams. He does not give us impossible thoughts. You become the impossibility when you don't carry it through. So not allowing yourself to see yourself in the future. There's a tagline I use. Every single place I go to preach, I go to teach, I tell them, look at your neighbor and tell them, I see you in the future and things are looking better. Better is coming your way. And I believe that because I expect better to come my way. So I don't expect anything less of you. And I think that we've stopped, young people stopped dreaming. They've allowed circumstances to enter into the vicissitudes, the proclivities. There's your big words for the day. They've entered in, and it has caused a less than effect. And we all know mathematics. There's greater than and less than. You want greater than. If I say I got a $5 bill for your 50, that's bad math. But if I'm telling you I can help you earn $50 more, that's good math. So I think that a lot of times, our young people, we stop because the generation ahead of us hasn't done it. So we haven't seen it. We don't understand it. But I challenge, be a trendsetter. You know, you want people to follow you. You don't have to follow people. And I teach this to my kids all the time. I said, you be the trendsetter. If they don't want to follow, if they don't want to do what you do, that's okay. Because if you are doing right, then God will reward you. Sooner or later, somebody's going to say, well, let me look over there. What is it that you're doing? And how are you so successful? Well, come on in, let's talk. And then have a good, healthy conversation. And I think the more that we imbrue ourselves in how life can take us to be stronger, we can look and not have to falter so much, but we then can have success.
To share all of these nuggets of aspiration, and for people to understand they have to have intentionality and they have to really be laser focused on improving themselves. When you get the negaholics, and I know that they're there because I think most of us that or visionaries encounter our negaholics. What would you share to our young people when they are encountering these negaholics that are always buzzing around? You know, many times they're worse than flies at a picnic. They're just always buzzing around. What would you share with those individuals that want to aspire, but they seem to just be inundated with the negaholics?
You know, that is a great question. And I would share with them first, you have to be a trend setter. Let me say that again. You have to be a trend setter. There's always somebody who's in the cut who is waiting to say, see, talk to me, Job. There's always somebody over there saying, you must have done something wrong, versus maybe this is God showing me that there's so much in you that I got to pull it out of you. So when the negative folks come, and they will come, Some of them you might live with. Some of them, you know, when those negative folks come, you have got to learn how to stand even when you don't understand. So I'm standing on what I know. If I'm standing on, I know 2 + 2 is 4. You can't tell me 2 + 2 is 6 because I know 2 + 2 is 4. There's no matter of what you're going to be able to tell me that is going to change the methodology of my thinking. But the underlying point of that negativity is I got to carry Christ with me because I remember Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. When I lead with strength and I walk with strength, my dad one time told me, you don't ever walk with your head down unless you're looking to pick up some money. And I took that. So people always say, wow, you have a big presence. So I said, no, I don't have a big presence. I serve a big God. That's who I serve. It's not about me. It's about God. So, you know, when those negative folks come, and trust me, the negative folks come, watch this, to keep you humble and to keep you in prayer. It's not there to tell you that you're better or you're stronger or you're brighter. It's there for you to flip that mirror around and say, Lord, I thank you for showing me that in the midst of where I am, I must be doing something right, because the enemy is not going to try to come and get you while you're doing wrong. He's got you. So he's fine. He's moving on to the next person. He's going to keep trying to pull you down because you are sustained and sure of what you believe and whom you believe in. So when those negative folks come, count it all joy. Just count it all joy. And you look at it and you got to pray for the lovable. You got to pray for the unlovable. And you got to be able to say, Lord, I know you will make a way somehow.
Wow, fantastic. Well, listen, Elder, I have to give you your props because that's who you are. You are Elder T.C. Thomas of the Louisiana 4th Episcopal District here in Louisiana. And it's been great having you here. Our audience loving you with the thumbs up and the hearts and that kind of thing. Do you have a parting word you'd like to share with them before we let you go?
You know, again, thank you so much, Dr. Lars, and I appreciate your show and you encouraging everyone and all of your viewers. My parting conversation thought I would like to share is don't allow yourself to come down to degradation, to come down to derogatorysm. Allow yourself. I'm a coffee drinker. I drink coffee, but I drink black coffee. But there are times that I like some cream in my coffee. If it's French vanilla, if it's a pumpkin spice during a holiday. But one thing about that cream, when I put the cream in the coffee, it changes the color and that cream rises to the top so that I know that it is in there. Remember, you as a person, let yourself be that cream. Let it change people. When you walk in their lives, they should have a change for the better. People say, well, they stop telling jokes when I come around. They should stop telling dirty jokes when you come around because you are that light. You ought to be a light. Jesus said he is the light of the world. I'm not going to hide my light. I'm going to let my light so shine before men that they see his good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. And I want them to change people and I want them to rise to the top. And remember, you got to lift somebody as you climb. As you go up, look back and get you. As I tell my students, when you go, reach back and get you so that you say, yes, that was me several years ago. I got to go get that person because they've got something in them. My last thing, I was walking through Walmart and I saw a young man one day who had graduated. And I was walking, it was early in the morning, and he said, Dr. T, Dr. T. And I turned, look, who know me at 6 in the morning walking through Walmart. Student came down off the ladder, came and gave me a big hug and said, I just want to thank you for all of what you did to help me graduate. I'm on my way to the Army, and I want you to know that I appreciate you and all that you did for me. And if I could help one somebody, that meant the world to me. And I remember that story to this day. Several years ago, he thanked me, and I told him, you're going to be great because you did the work. I just helped guide you. So do the work. Don't abort the mission. Do the work. It might get hard. It might get tough. It might seem like you want to throw in the towel, but greater is he that is within you than he that is within the world.
Fantastic. No more needs to be said. With that, Dr. TC, Elder, Reverend Dr. TC Thomas, it has been a great pleasure to have you as our guest. But it's going to be, and it's an even a bigger, greater pleasure to be able to establish you as my friend.
Yes, sir.
I say that publicly to our audience. When I see a kindred spirit, especially, and this is not a racist statement, some people say, why you have to say that? But when I see a kindred spirit, especially a brother that's not only astute, but you are innovative, you're invigorating, you're visionary, you share light, you breathe breath into other human beings, you are the quintessential humanitarian. That is what, as far as I'm concerned, life was intended to be.
Amen.
So I stamp you, my brother, as a newfound friend, as we really get to know one another. We appreciate you being a part of the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. And we look forward to sharing with you again, not only on this platform, but other platforms to come.
Amen.
So we
thank
you
you
for
so
being
much.
here, brother.
I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. We appreciate you, brother. Okay,
God bless.
guys, you know me. This has been the Nobody Asked Me Guy show, and I'm your host, Melvin Casey Lars. And as always, we encourage you, tell a friend, tell your neighbors, tell your family to go to the Nobody Asked Me Guy show on YouTube. Check us out, like us, and subscribe to our channel. Again, we always want our friends. If you're coming for gossip, you're in the wrong place. If you're coming for negativity, you're in the wrong place. If you're coming to visit some place that you can gripe and disagree with individuals that's bringing you legitimate, authentic academic education, you are in the wrong place. However, when you come to this place for growth, for energy, for perspective, and for a greater outlook on life, you are here with us, the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. So guys, thank you for being here. Again, I'm your host, Melvin Casey Lars, and thank you. You guys have a great night. Dr. TC, thank you, my brother. And let's stay in touch, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. Take care, sir.
You too, my brother.
All right. Bye-bye.